yeah, new season, new update, new meta, and I'll say new meta because like they've been doing since the BO7 dropped, is every new introduction of weapons are basically front of the line for the meta. I think in this particular case, we get the new rifle in the battle pass. Very good, top tier meta contender, and probably the meta. In terms of the SMG, it competes with the other SMG options. Probably not the hard meta for some people, but it will definitely be the hard meta for others, which is pretty nice. And we'll also give some weapon stats so that you kind of know what to look out for when it comes to the Blackout side of the game or Black Ops Royale, because that's all updated on the spreadsheet as well. Current spreadsheet that's been bookmarked has been updated with the various damage profiles. You guys have had this one, seen it for a while. It updates. You kind of look at the top in real time. It'll just keep updating. This is accurate as of when I'm making this video. So it'll include things like the Voyak that's in there, or the VST, which would be insane to be that accurate because that thing's recoil does kick up. We have the MK35 ISR, which fits in here at the 9th slot when you compare it to basically everything. If you're looking more for just the Black Ops weapons or Black Ops 7 weapons, those are all going to be in this section on the right. We did add another tab where you have all these weapons in here if you want to compare them that way, and that'll be kind of what you're going to look for. As you can see, kind of where the new guns fit. The VST fits over here, kind of middle of the road. There's a bunch of other SMGs that kill a little bit faster, but it has a consistency of the fast fire rate, which it might be a little bit more forgiving for some players and not for others. We also added the other tab where you can kind of take a look at all the damage for all the different armors in tier 1, tier 2 armor, tier 3 for the Black Ops Royale. So although you can't pick up the weapon you want, there are plenty of options here where you can kind of see where they fit in the close range. For their close range TTK, Razor kills it. But then as you get a little bit further, tier 2, the TTKs might get a little bit closer. As you can see, it's, slightly smaller difference there for some of the guns. 60 milliseconds versus 50. And as you get further, maybe less important, more important. So when it comes to the loadouts, any particular order, there's tons of great options. I like how they balance the guns and how they've nerfed stuff where you can still use it, but you got a new meta as the front runner. I know that ends up being a meme. I know there's gonna be people in the comments like, oh my God, shocker, they added new weapons and they made them pay to win, blah, blah, blah. We had 3 years where that shit just did not happen. Like, we had absolute garbage guns being added on the regular, and then they kept the same guns meta for months and months at a time. So no, that did not happen. No, they didn't put blueprints in the store that were flying off the shelves. That didn't happen. It's happening now, which I think for some, that kind of sucks because you got to worry about leveling the new guns, which I think is a hindrance. And that's why the new Black Ops Royale is good for that. Floor loot, you level it up and then maybe jump into the loadout part of the game and not feel like the disadvantage when you get it going. So we're going to go ahead and go with 4 different loadouts, 1 long range, 1 close range, and there are a few other options out there. Like I said, on the spreadsheet you can see all the TTKs, but we have the Raiden 45 as well as the AK-27. They've lowered the recoil on this one quite a bit, easier to manage. I still like the first shot accuracy. In general, I will go with the stock that helps with the recoil by 20%. That one's usually pretty good, and this one is not quite as good, so I generally go with the rear grip that helps with the first shot accuracy, and then the Raiden, we kind of have it built out there. The guns have gotten simplified. We've gotten to a point where they mirror Warzone 1 quite a bit for a lot of the rifles, which we'll talk about as we get into some of the other examples. But one of the things is it's usually monolithic suppressor, longest barrel, biggest mag, and then you kind of get an optic, and whether you want a stock or a rear grip or bullet velocity, it's kind of like that last attachment is really where things get wonky. They've made this one significantly easier to use, even though I've been on Crimson Desert, which is not a first-person shooter for the past 3 weeks. You can see the AK is a little too easy to use, and surprisingly, the guns on this list have even less recoil. So we'll get to those as we get to it. First 2 targets on the SMG, and you're good to go. We'll move on to the next one, which is the Eagert. and the VST. I think the VST may slip it, like I said, into the top for some people, but the Egert, super easy to use as well. But they just added a new gun that is even easier to use. And this is what I was talking about with the stock. If we remove the stock, then we go ahead and add the stock, you can see the one in this particular case, 25%, 25%, 25% behind my webcam. You can see that there. Boom. And that's going to be a juicy one, especially if the gun doesn't have initial kick that you're trying to solve for. Then we got the new SMG, which is kind of built out like this. There's other ways you could build it out. Obviously, it's new, but I like to solve a little bit for recoil when I can. This one's damage range. That's typically what you want to do with SMGs. You could get rid of this for a suppressor if you want to stay off, but I think the vertical recoil is kind of extreme on the new gun. Otherwise, that's where I would put it. But Egert, like no recoil, is kind of ridiculous. And even the other one's going to have even lower recoil as we get to that. Pretty clean irons on this one. But it does have that vertical recoil and 50 mag. It's a low damage gun, but high DPS because of the fast fire rate. So you kind of got to balance that out. 50 round mag can get a little sketch in trios or something like that with higher damage or higher plates or whatever the case is. Then we get to the Voyak, which is the previously released as rifle, as well as the Dravik, with the new camo that you get for that new event that they got going on. They added a ton of event stuff. Endgame got a bunch of content. It's kind of crazy. Warzone's getting some stuff. I mean, they're doing a lot of the right stuff. It's just kind of like, what's going to jump people to get back on the game? And I don't know if they're going to do it. Maybe map rotation will help in the mid-season or whenever the heck they're going to add that. But I don't know exactly what that is for the game. Might just be like the point where people are kind of over it, waiting for the next game or whatever the case is. I don't know. I think there's tons of content to play and tons of stuff that's interesting depending on what kind of mode you're interested in. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, been there, done that. We've done it. Especially if you're not a ball and gun gamer, you got great options on the table for you. And then the new ISR ends up being there along with the Razor 9mm. This is kind of how you would build it out. Like I said, it doesn't have that high first shot recoil, so you don't need that. You can go into the stock, which is going to give you lower recoil overall. And you can even lean in with the monolithic suppressor instead of a vertical recoil compensator or something along those lines. And then the Razor, kind of what we built out for a while, and pretty straightforward. I mean, like I said, they've made it pretty easy. I don't know why it always stutters when you join, but you can see this thing's pretty straight. Even without like making recoil 0 with attachments, pretty good overall. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new update. I still am looking forward to more of the mid-season update. We'll get map rotation. I want to see how Avalon plays with loadouts and all that type of stuff. And then Hot Pursuit whenever that gets added, because that got teased a little bit for the Black Ops Royale. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.